Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Hey, I can hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay, and excited to have a special guest today.
We've got a special guest today. We made it easy for all of you in the chat. If you need to know our guest's name, he's also named Paul. You've seen him in the chat. You've seen him asking for all of you to hit the like button. This is
Yep.
in the flesh, Mr. Paul H. Hit the like himself. Paul, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's been a really good day. I wouldn't say it's been a stellar day trading wise, but just generally speaking, I've learned some new stuff today as well, which is all part of the plan. So yeah, pretty good.
Awesome. Good to hear. And all of you are the chat. Hopefully you can hear us well. I got a microphone check ×3 from his Royal and Andrew with the confirmation as well. So we sound good. Welcome to At the Buzz Hour Market Recap. If this is your first time here, I am Coach Jay. That is Coach Paul all the way on the right side. And in the middle of us, we have our guest, one of our top step traders, Paul H. The goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity, see how we could have taken advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. This is our first time meeting. I'm Coach Jay. I've been a Top Step Performance Coach since June of 2023. Been in the futures markets for the past 6 years and trading for the past 13. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself. And then Paul H., we're going to ask you some questions about yourself as well.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Top Step since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share experience, maybe some knowledge, and assist you in becoming a better trader.
Awesome. Thank you. And Paul
Now we'll
H.,
pass the ball to Paul.
pass it to Paul. Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great name.
Yeah, it's the best, right? So I've been with Topstep for about a year. I started in January 2024. I'd never traded futures before I met Topstep. I'd traded stocks for 4 years prior to that. So 5 years a trader, but 1 year in futures. And I'm on my second XFA, and it's going okay, is what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, thank you for joining us, Paul. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
What brought you to trading futures?
Actually, I've got so in the small caps segment, we had I was part of a class, and I was losing money. I lost quite a bit of money in small caps. And so I joined a group within that class called Trader Rehab. And there was about 40 traders in that Trader Rehab group. We boiled it down to 6 of us. I think there's 6 now that are left, that we're no longer in that group. But it's like, well, we all stayed in touch. We set up a Slack group. We stayed in touch. And one of my trading buddies, as they are, a guy by the name of Charlie, he started trading futures and Topstep. He looked at options. I think everyone had a look at options, and I was still sticking with small caps. But then Charlie said to me, look, man, you're a very technical guy. You're going to love this. You already learned a lot. I think you should try futures. And what's best of all is if you join this team Topstep, you don't have to put your own money at risk, because we've been doing that and it's not working well for us. So I was like, yeah, all right, Charlie, that's I would say I was brought in kicking and screaming. I was like, no, I'm a small caps trader. And he's like, no, you're a futures trader that identifies as a small caps trader. He said, just join futures, for crying out loud. So that's what I did. I'm very happy I did.
It's a good friend. Awesome stuff.
That's great.
Let's talk about these markets a little bit. We know we had some news out this morning. PPI inflation data came in a little bit higher than expected. 3.5%. Forecast was 3.3%. Core PPI month over month came in at 0.3%. Forecast was 0.3%. We also had U.S. initial jobless come in at 213,000. Forecast was 215,500. Anything else you guys see on the news front for you, Coach, or for you, Paul? Anything else? We know we had the president speaking as well. He was dropping the T word like it was going out of style.
I've got to
Anything
be
else you
honest,
guys
I
have?
was out of the market by then, so yeah, I was all done by sort of like about 11 o'clock my time, UK time, which I think for you guys is like 5 a.m. So no, I didn't see any of that. I made the money and ran. That's what I
Nice.
did.
Very good. Very good. What about you, Coach? Anything you
Yeah,
see on the news front?
yeah. No, just I didn't know, and probably why, being trained in economics, that tariffs are good for stock prices. So that's new to me. That's news. And we had quite a rally.
Yes, we
But
did.
in all sincerity, I'm a technician. So nothing much. What's on the plate for tomorrow? Anything? Or is just a Friday rally?
Nothing major tomorrow. We got U.S. retail sales, and that is about it. Industrial production as well, but for the major numbers for the week, they are done from there. So let's get into the charts. If you guys do have any questions, as always, please send them in the chat. We'll try to get to them. Andrew will copy and paste them and send them over to us. Thank you, Andrew, as always, for doing that. Let's get into the markets where we have 35 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts, not just the equities. Today, to the downside, we had micro Ethereum futures, and there's not a whole lot on the downside today. Micro Ethereum futures down 0.71%, micro Bitcoin futures down 0.76%, and lean hogs down 1.25% for our biggest percentage mover to the downside. To the upside, we had the ultra bonds up 1.53%. Copper up 1.75%, and nat gas up 1.96% for our biggest percentage mover to the upside. To talk about our big four, we had crude oil pretty much flat, up 0.03%. Gold up 1%. The S&Ps up 0.98%, and the NASDAQ up 1.26% for our biggest percentage mover to the upside. I have an equity chart up here. Paul, guess, Paul, what did you trade today?
I traded. Oh, that's a very good question, Jay. I think my trade this morning was on. It was on gold long, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
looking
nice.
at the break as it came out of the breakout. You know, the 30-minute setup that you guys talk about all the time. So the first 30 minutes of the Globex Open,
Very nice.
set that range. VWAP left the range, and I got in long there.
So why don't we go with that? We have a guest here. We'll go with what your trade is. And I want to talk a little bit, Paul, about your experience just with Topstep in general.
Sure.
So, you know, Coach, we got a guest, so we change up the flow a little bit when we have a guest to keep the content fresh. So let's start with gold. We had this gold trade. I was actually in this gold trade last night on slow markets with Dakota. Paul, you know, you kind of mentioned that 30-minute opening breakout trade here.
That's right, yeah.
Really nice trade in gold. We've been talking about gold being in this uptrend. What is that white line down there?
200 moving average.
Yeah,
Somebody's been paying attention.
Hard to avoid it, isn't it?
Right. Somebody's been paying attention, but we got above that yesterday, and the trend continues. Right, gold has been in this higher time frame uptrend. So really nice trade that you had there. I think when I got in during slow markets, my target was 29.50s, which we ultimately hit. Pulled back, but that VWAP kind of held as a support the entire time, and continued upward. You know, all-time highs in gold right around here, 29.67.9. We are less than 1% away from it. You know, that seems like a speed bump on the way to 3,000. We could very well be trading 3,000 in gold tomorrow, right? Anything can happen in these markets. 3,000 is less than 1.5% away. Gold had a 1% move today on what felt like a pretty quiet day. So it feels inevitable. I say that, and then the markets could turn around here and drop 500 points. But if we're going with what the trend says right now, it seems like it's going to happen pretty soon. What are you seeing in gold, Coach?
Well, you nailed it on. It's rallying. It seems just a foregone conclusion that we will hit 3,000. But very interesting. I want to ask Paul H. Do you trade gold exclusively, or do you trade different contracts?
Right now, I'm looking at, I think, 16. I've got 16 charts open, 2 lots of 8 windows with Trader View. And I just look for that setup, that 30-minute breakout, because for me, that's at 11 p.m. So I give it from 11 p.m. to like 1 a.m. If it gets to 1 a.m., 1:30, and Coach Dakota's starting his overnight show, it's like, it's time for me to go to bed. I've got a full day tomorrow, got a day job. Do you know what I mean? I can't be up until 5 in the morning waiting for the break. If it doesn't happen, I just don't take a trade. But usually with 16 markets, one of them's moving. And that's what I've learned from you guys. It's just like, you just do the same play across multiple markets. One of them's going to work. I put the trade on. I usually, I have a small enough size to set my stop the other side of the range. So if it's breaking to the upside, I'll set my stop just outside the low of the range, and I'll go to bed. And then I'll wake up the next morning. I'm either up 400, 500 and still in the trade, or it's stopped me out and I'm only down $125. And that's the way I start the day. And then once that trade, once I've got the trade on, I can let that go. I mean, the best trade I've had in the XFA was $3,600 with a gold, literally from the opening like that. In fact, that didn't actually start breaking until London Open. And I got in on it because there was nothing to trade overnight. So I went to bed, no trades. That's fine. I sleep well in any event because manage the risk, right?
Right.
So it's like, no trades, it's fine. So I get up the next morning. I see London. It's getting 7 a.m. Gold starts to move. It's breaking out. There's a big volume spike. I'm like, right, this is it. Stick the VWAP on. Let's range it out. Let's see what happens. It starts to go. Put the trade on. And those are the days that you just sit back and watch. And it's like, it doesn't matter how choppy it gets as the day goes on. It is never going to retrace all the way back down to the range and the other side, right? It's just not.
And if it does,
it's one or two micros, that's all you need, right?
If it does, that's one of the percentages of the time where things don't work out.
Exactly.
And we accept that as the risk, right? But what we want to try to do is identify high probability, put risk behind it. His Royal Trades just said it in the chat: accept the risk and let it ride.
Exactly.
Coach Paul, you had a smile over there on your face.
I might have to start call. I'm going to have to call Paul the at the buzzer apostle. Paul the at the buzzer apostle.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. And there you go. How much time do you spend at it?
Well, I try to minimize the amount of time I spend in front of the screens, but for the first year, of course, like everybody, I've burned my way through a number of combines. I've used the practice account heavily. I've spent hours and hours and hours listening to Topstep TV, but I've learned so much stuff for free. Your show, Coach D's show in the morning, it's just where the most of my learning has come from. But then you see Hoag at the buzzer, and
So
at the open and all of that.
I actually want to go through a list. So, Coach, we've talked about getting traders on here. I almost feel like we're doing a marketing pitch for what we do here, but it's not that at all, right? We're here. We say it all the time. We have the intentions of helping traders. Paul is an example of it. I got to give all the credit to you, Paul, for taking information that you've heard from watching the stream, from joining all the coaches, aggregating it and making it your own. But I just want to read this list you sent to us in an email, just of all the things you've learned listening to Topstep TV. Topstep TV lessons, right? So this is an email directly from Paul. Just 1 year in, he said he's been trading futures, right? 12.5% of drawdown keeps your account. That's from Coach Paul. The breakout urgency trade. That's from me, Coach J. He's learned market profile from Hoag, volume profile from D, range trading from Dolby, managing positions, never moving your stop until within 10%. That's Coach Ray, who does all his classes in Discord. Changing my platform to help focus on a trade and not the P&L. You learned that from Coach Robert. Trading the same trade across multiple markets. We just talked about that 30-minute opening range breakout trade from Coach Paul and myself. Using small positions with wider stops, learning that from D. Understanding different sessions and how markets trade at different times, learning that from D as well. Understanding volume and VWAP from at the buzzer here, looking at 50% retracements using a fib tool, which we do here as well, how to anchor VWAP, how to get in once, get out once, and have conviction in your trades from Coach Hoop. Why an active role in the Top Step community is important from Eddie. And then finally, bet not thy whole wad from Hoag himself.
That's it.
Is an amazing,
What a year.
That is amazing, an amazing list of things in a year.
Yeah.
Paul, I want to ask you, how much did it cost you to learn all of that?
Oh man, you know the answer
That's a
to
lot
that.
of stuff.
Right. So okay, it has to be said that you don't learn the lessons just by listening. The information is provided for free. I have had to take a few combines, and I want to just, if I can, take a minute to explain my approach to combines, which is that I don't want to pass the combine in a week if I don't have a working strategy, because all you're doing is you're spending $200, not $50, $200 on a combine that you're going to blow in 10 days, right? An XFA is an XFA. You're a funded trader, but if you don't turn that into capital, if you can't maintain that account, then it's just a more expensive combine, right? The key is to have, like I've learned from you two guys, a strategy that works, a setup that works, that you can execute. You know whether it's right, you know whether it's wrong. There's no guesswork involved. It's like, that's the setup, take it and have conviction in it. And when it works really, really well. And when it doesn't work well, you lose small, and that's fine, and you move on. But having learned that strategy, you know, my second XFA is doing way better than the first one, because the first one lasted 13 days through good risk management, right? But I passed the combine without having a system that would work long term.
Yeah.
So there's no point having a system that is going to pass a combine. You need a system that's going to make you money over the year, over the 5 years, not just, you know, let's see how much money we can make in the next couple of weeks. So the answer to that question, Coach Jay, is that yes, I've received an awful lot of free training, and as I was saying to you in the green room, you know, the volume, the market profile. There is a video by Coach Hoag, right, that talks about the market profile. It's free. It's on the YouTube channel. Check it out. It's like, it's a masterclass in market profile.
It costs you your attention.
It
costs you your attention.
Exactly.
And, you know, we give our attention to other things that don't have the potential to bring us returns if we apply the information right. Shout out to Coach Vince also, who's in the chat, who teaches a class on market profile every day in Discord at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Cool.
So really good stuff there. His Royal Trade says, and you know, everyone is in there in a different journey. You know, he says about you, Paul, the difference is you listen, you study the information without judging and applying what fit to your personality. And I think that is probably the best thing about Topstep TV. Again, I'm not going to make this a marketing pitch for Topstep TV. We're here every day. We appreciate all of you watching. And like Paul's name says in the chat, hit the like button if you haven't done so already. But, you know, applying the information and finding what fits with you. There's a bunch of different styles on Topstep TV, right? There isn't one person that trades the same way. You look at the way Dakota trades, he's not going to have an indicator on his chart for the most part, right? But finding what resonates with you as a trader, making your own strategy, I think is ideal. And then, like you said, Paul, you know, what can I do for longevity? Learning how to manage an account is the biggest thing, right? It could be whatever strategy you want it to be. If we can't manage an account, then it doesn't survive. And then that 12% of the drawdown, like we talked about, helps you stay in the game. So really good stuff there.
Yeah, and the other thing is you also, you know, what I've learned from watching Topstep TV is that you know, we could trade 24/7 if we wanted to, but the fact is, you've got to not only find a style of trading that works for you, and I love breakout trades. I'm not very good at range trades. I can do it, but I'm not great at it yet. That's a skill I need to sharpen, which I'll use the practice account to sharpen, because you get a free practice account, folks. Just use that. You know?
Right.
But the other thing is, there's different times of markets, right? There's different times that suits your life. Don't be, you know, like at first I was staying up all night and then trying to go to do my day job because I thought the time to trade was, you know, watching the Dakota show and then putting on trades and hoping that that was going to work and blah, blah, blah. And that wasn't good for me. Having a couple of hours before I go to bed is fine. Then getting to my desk nice and early, nice and refreshed, plenty of sleep, sitting here for the London markets. You guys have said it night after night after night. Well, London did this.
Right.
And now we're playing catch. It's like, yeah, and I'm in London. It's really good for me at the moment, right? And I'm
He's the one
taking
having
full
all the fun.
advantage of it.
He's the one having
It's
all
not
the fun.
my fault. But I am having a lot of fun, yeah. So that's it's like just trade your time, you know, find your time in the market. Don't spend all day 20 hours watching charts. I mean, when you're in the beginning, yeah, you do have to put in the time, but once you've got a strategy that works, you want to get in, you want to get your money, you want to close it down and get out and go and do something really fun with your life, because that's what this is all about. Freedom. Yeah. Right?
100%. 100%. Coach, you got something?
No, there was a question here. What, and I don't know if we have time for it, but it's Dan Trader.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to ask you later, what 16 markets you watch? Which, by the way, you don't have to answer that now. We'll get back to you. I found that that made me happy.
Cool.
I grew up as a futures trader, literally since, and it's well over 40 years now, since I was 18, 19 years old. And from my perspective, futures has always been trade what's different sectors. I mean, cattle, shout out to Coach Hoop. It could be gold. It could be crude oil. It could be corn, or it could be NASDAQ. And they have you find success after a year of futures trading and getting on and understanding that. It just made me really happy. So good on you.
Honestly, Coach Paul, I want to say this to you specifically. Well, so both of you guys, this show is just incredible. The way that you just opened my mind. It's like when everyone comes to futures for the first time, we trade the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ is just the worst place to learn to trade. It's just, it's insane, right? And then somebody says, you know what? There's lean hogs. It's like, there's what now? I'm like, what's lean hogs? It's like, look at this, look at that. The way you guys talk about all these different markets and show us these great examples of you could have traded this, you could have traded that. But what did you do instead? You blew another combine in the NASDAQ. Right? It's like, seriously, it's such good advice.
We did not pay him to say this.
No, but I took it all on board, guys, and I thank you for it, because it's transformed my trading. It really has. Thank you, guys.
It's great to hear, man. It's great to hear that the message resonates. And, you know, the NASDAQ is going to give us good trades on some days. But if you're struggling, if you're a trader that's struggling, like Paul just said, right, there is another place for you to trade. Let's get back into these markets a little bit. We'll do a little bit of a review of the NASDAQ. Let's take a look. I have an equity chart up here, and we have our 30-minute opening range from last night. We know we had PPI out this morning, so the markets were going to wait maybe a little bit for that number to come out. Decent opportunities last night. You could have bought, you know, this opening range breakout here on the 30-minute. We had somewhat of a 50-point move to the upside. I know Dakota was talking about looking for a short just back into the range, because we've been trading, you know, how long have we been talking about the range of this December 18th candle? We're still in it. We're still in it. So last night was pretty quiet, but we know we had PPI out this morning, which I'm going to consider the start of the day. And that was pretty much it. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, it was funny. We talked. I don't dislike the NASDAQ.
Yeah.
I just it's about opportunity. And today was a great NASDAQ was a great for us extension traders. But was a great breakout.
Yep.
And so looking 3-minute, and it took a little while. That was the first candle. That was the
This is PPI.
news candle, PPI.
Yep.
Made the low.
Yes, it
So
did.
as we talk right there, if we look at the 200 moving average real quick here.
On the 30?
Yeah.
Mm.
What time did it hit there?
So it hit last night. It hit last night in London.
Yep.
In London. We kind of came down and took a look at it again on the low of that PPI print, but it's holding as a support.
Yeah, and that PPI. So actually looking at that with the 3-minute, I just looking at that this morning, and I actually took it on the 3-minute. What's my risk? Now it held it. Now I'm not predicting. I just think I'm looking for good places to take good risk, because that's what we are. We're risk managers. So if we look at that, if we on the close of the candle,
Which candle? Coach?
and risk to the news candle.
Okay. Closes here.
So we go 2 ATRs or a new low. I like 2 ATRs because I don't like getting ticked out.
Yep.
Because then I can adjust the size. So if it just did a micro, how many points would it be to new lows?
40 points. 80 bucks for
80,
micro.
80 bucks. I'll do 2. I'll take 2. All right. Not knowing that but it's well worth the risk, being we've been playing with this 200 half-hour moving average for what, weeks?
Yep.
So it's funny. It feels to me like they were waiting for this PPI. Who's they, Paul? Okay. The institutional size business. The institutions. Yeah. Who are they, Paul?
Right.
Paul the Apostle.
Sorry, guys.
So I do go ahead. Keep going. I do want to mention something. I'll bring it up. Go ahead. Keep going, Coach.
Okay. So then when the New York Open, we had an initial buy, but that low held, and once we broke out of that opening range for New York Open, VWAP set. And one other thing is I'll look to confirm this. I'll put a 5-minute candle, whatever candle you like. Could be a 15-minute, and frame it out, see if that breaks out. That one, but off the news, which was negative news. I mean,
Right.
It was big. If I'm not mistaken, it was bigger than expected, right?
Correct.
So this reason it should have broke based on the news, and it didn't. So I'm not shocked on the rally. But as we all know, NASDAQ never makes it easy.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I do want to bring something up here.
So I'll hand it back to you, Coach.
Awesome. I do want to bring something up here. There we go. Clip that a little bit. So you guys know I am a volume trader through and through. We've had questions about, the depth of market and, what that kind of looks like. What am I paying attention to? We had these orders come out right before the open. Coach Paul, I sent these to you also. These are the biggest orders I've seen in the NASDAQ all month. A 500 lot at 21,875. I'm going to put that on the chart here so we have it. And a 600 lot at 21,876. Again, these are the biggest orders. A 500 lot in general, one of the biggest orders I've seen all year, really. The 500 lot at 875 got filled. The 600 lot got pulled, right? So whether they either just went directly to market with that order or whatever they did, don't really know. But I'm not surprised that the day that we see that type of size is the day that we also break out of this range that we've been in. You know, we saw Jim Dalton on Topstep TV about 2 weeks ago saying, you know, it feels like the adults are no longer at the table. Just kind of putting the whole puzzle together. And guys, my brain gets to putting puzzles together sometimes. Why doesn't matter. The fact that something did happen is probably more important. But I don't know if it's a coincidence that today is also the day that we hear the president saying we might delay some of the tariffs that we've talked about that have been holding these markets back for a very long time. All of a sudden, we see size come back in the markets and we're breaking out of this range. They were on the sell side. They got filled. And they got filled pretty much right on the market open, right? So right on the market open here, a lot of times what I'm looking at is we know in order to take those orders out, we needed to see, just let me remove that real quick. Right on the market open here. In order to take these orders out, we know we need market buys to come in. And the way they opened up this market, Coach Paul, where they bought those 875s, unless you were just quick on the trigger and, you know, you got in with them, you got a quick 80 points. Before you could figure out what happened, the market is already up 80 points. We've talked about this before, trying not to swim in front of the shark and remembering that, hey, if it's really a good opportunity, I try to remind myself of this all the time, it'll come back and there's potential for me to get into a better price than the buyer who took out that 500 lot. I don't know what their intentions are, but if you're buying 500 lots, it's not for a couple of ticks.
So I have a question, Coach Jay. Can I ask a quick question on that?
What's up?
Well, I'm just thinking that, you know, the significance of these, and this is how I'm reading the information you're telling us, is the significance of these orders being there means that they are now, if you like, a level of support, or certainly in the absence of any other big orders over the next few days. Because if we keep watching and we see more 500 lots, 800 lots, then we can move those levels up, right, to whatever is there. But right now, that is, we know there was a big order block there. That's going to be significant. If it breaks, it's going to be just as significant.
Correct.
But we're likely to bounce off it.
Correct. So the one thing we don't know is we don't know what the intentions of that market participant are, right? Could they have been buying the close? Whoever took out the order, are they buying the close or buying the open? I don't really know. The way I would like to look at it,
Are they covering shorts?
Are they covering shorts? Right. The way I like to look at it, though, is if they buy that much and they're willing to take out that much liquidity to the upside, when we get a pullback lower than them, and now I have to measure where my pullbacks go. I keep putting this up here for a reason because you guys all know that we look at 50% retracements all the time. 50% retracement of the news candle is a good spot to get in below where that bigger buyer was. Now I'll ask you, Paul, is it a coincidence that we pull right back down to this white line here where that 500 lot got bought and held it? Coincidence or no? Right?
No.
That price meant something to someone.
Yeah.
Right. So when we come back here, if it holds, it gives us an opportunity to limit risk and say, hey, if the buyer is still here and defending that position, I want to try to get in with them. Best case scenario, I get in better price than them because I can make money to their position. But if they defend that position, now my risk can go below that. Right. Go ahead, Coach. You were going to say something.
No, finish, because then I'll say something if you're finished.
Yeah, I'm done there.
Well, earlier in the week, we've been talking that this has been a turbulent market.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great question. How do we know if when the turbulence ends? Well, you really don't know until after it happens, but we're getting signs.
Right.
And you just pointed that out. We're getting volume size coming in. I'll assume that it's a buying.
Right.
Why? The result was a rally after that. So they came in. Let's assume they bought it, and the market continued to rise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next up is to see if we break through today's highs tomorrow with some more volume. And I would say the turbulence is over and we go into the laminar stage, which is a trend. So
we got somebody saying that we have a
great analysis, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. We got a 2,000 lot. Oh yeah, look at that on the bid.
Oh wow.
2,000 lot in the S&P, 6126 on the bid. There were a bunch of 1,000 lots that have been getting filled all the time. 1,000 lots are pretty big in the S&Ps. We've seen them getting filled all the way up. Remember, there's two sides of every trade. Somebody's selling passively, somebody's buying aggressively, and those aggressive buyers keep buying. Right. A lot of times, what we'll see is some of those offers get out there. The market says, "That's too much. We don't want to buy that," and then we run away from it. The market's not running away from these orders. So whether it stops going off or aggressive market orders coming in to buy, again, because you heard Jack say it on Topstep TV today, if the tariff threats are what were keeping us down, and now we're saying that we're going to delay those tariffs,
Then,
the boogeyman went away.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So potential to continue higher. Could be a hedge, Oak Torch. We don't really know, right? Because we're looking at one very specific derivative of these markets. But in the overall picture, what's happening, not sure. But for a day trade, when I see those big orders, as soon as I saw those big orders out there this morning, I was like, okay, this is going to be a big day in the equities.
Coach, I had a question from Dan Trader there, and
Okay.
I have answered it. He did ask for the 16 markets, just so that you can see that in the chat. I've listed the 16 markets against Dan's name.
Okay.
But there are two in that list. One is euros, forex. One is the US to Canadian dollars exchange rate. I don't trade those. I just watch them because they affect crude oil prices, and I learned that from Coach D. Yeah, so
awesome stuff.
Just wanted to clear that up because I didn't want to set Dan Trader off down the wrong road there. Okay.
Awesome.
Commodity currencies.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. Anything else you got on the equities, Coach?
No, but you know what? Next, let's go back to gold, because there was a classic J trade in the gold today. We mentioned earlier we had the breakout that Paul got in. Good job. Yep. And then we had looking at the half hour.
Okay.
And we had a big break. We need to see the volume. Can you bring the chart up a little higher? There you go. So we had, there it is. There is the first. So when you see this big volume, like we saw that spike, we have a potential J trade.
Yep.
Right there on your left shoulder.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah.
Now, frame that out.
Is it that way?
And snap on.
No, it's that way.
Anchor VWAP.
Right above your head now, Paul. Yeah, we put an anchored.
Yeah.
This candle right here, we put an anchored VWAP on that candle, Coach. There we go.
There you go. And the entry for that, Jay, just to be clear, is when we break above the big volume down candle. Is that right? Or do you wait for that VWAP to leave? Because the VWAP hasn't left the range on that. But it's like on a J trade, we wait for the you can get in at the low. I know I've heard you say that before, because you can set a very cheap stop just below it. But at the point that's forming, you don't know that's the last of the candles that's going down.
Right.
So it's better to wait for the reversal. And as it breaks above the range of that that big volume candle, that's your entry. Have I got that right?
Coach Paul, I'm going to throw that one to you.
Coach Paul.
There's two ways. You can wait for it to break the high of that candle and just buy it and risk the range. I don't like that. I like to go in because I like this trade a lot. Two things. Do I want to be aggressive? So I'll put the 200 moving average.
Okay.
And if it's, but we're above the 200 moving, well, we hit the 50. I didn't even see that. So without that, we're above. So we're trending higher, right?
Yeah.
And we have big selling. I mean, that was a big seller. Okay. So without knowing, I'll just tag that with profit taking. Well, you know, we've rallied. Let's say this, just say, and I don't want to get caught up. I don't like to get caught up in having to know who sold it. I want to see the result of the big selling. And this harkens me back in the day in the pit where someone comes in, we've been rallying, some comes in, sell 500, sell 100, sell 100, sell 100. And the market takes a hit. And then it gets real quiet. Selling's done. Now, is that seller going to come back in? They could.
Right.
But once again, is this a good place to take risk? So being aggressive, I can just say after it breaks the high of the buying candle that follows it, you can do that, or if you not going to wait for it to break the high of the candle. Now, measuring risk. How much is that? Well, it's on a big gold. That's a lot. I mean, for most of our accounts, into a new low, I think it was like $800.
So
Yeah,
if you were,
that's only 80, right?
Right. If you're buying above the high of the candle here, right, waiting for that candle to close outside of it, your risk making a new low was 14 points, so $1,400.
1,400.
Or two ATRs,
I'll take
which was
one
12.
micro.
There you go.
One micro, $140.
You get it to the one.
$140. It's in my budget. I'll take. I don't. And by the way, that's the core of risk management. Going back to the principles of consistent winners, predefine the risk. When you start predefining the risk, you can see if it fits your budget. If $160 or $140 fits most of our budgets, is it a good risk? Well, it's a high probability trade to me.
Yeah.
I like this setup. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Now, it took some time, and this is a half an hour. I went through it. Like, what if it just comes back? Well, that already happened. I just want to go. That already happened. We had the big selling.
Right.
All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. They just stopped. So I'm a little more aggressive. I like buying it the first candle above the first buying candle.
Right.
Because if those sellers were coming back, they would hit that bid. And they didn't.
Right.
Yep.
So now I can go, maybe I could take a 2-lot there because now my risk to make new lows is probably like
it's shorter, yeah, for sure.
$3.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how you're getting a 10-to-1 on that trade.
Can I say something about this, Coach Paul? Just 1 second.
Sure.
It's these stories that you tell from the pit that makes this real. It makes it crystal clear. You understand exactly what's happening when you say these guys are coming in and they're saying sell, 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 sell 100, sell 100. It's those little stories that Coach Paul comes up with that I just love, because it's like now there's substance behind this. It makes sense in my head as to why these silly little candles do what they do, right? Do you know what I mean? There is a reason for it.
Yeah.
And it's just hats off to you, Coach Paul. I love it. Thank you.
Well, thanks. And like like I said, I'm here to share some of my experiences. And I tell you what, the transition, first of all, it was so much fun. Like,
Yeah.
it was a lot for 80% of the time. 20% of the time was pure hell. Like, why do I do this? But those, those, I loved it. I was there. I mean, I grew up in it. But I tell you what, and having Paul here as a guest, biggest thing that I got to meet people from all over the world, and I came, and that's one of the biggest experiences that and learning experiences is just that. The fact that you're from London here, I've had business in every continent, and it really boils down from literally all over the world. We're humans. Our human brain in trading acts basically the same. And learning that people, no matter what culture, making human decision is, it comes down to decision making under pressure.
Yeah.
So this is not an easy thing to do. Sometimes you go like, why, what, why do I do this? But, and I'm glad you learn a lesson over time. You find out this is what my plan to engage with risk, and I'm going to be consistent in it. And then a light turns on, and that same light, no matter what part of the world you're from, when that light hits as a human, you have now you have a skill. So it's one of the greatest things about being in the futures, and why I love Topstep. It gives that same exposure to different people from all over the world. So
Can I
maybe
say
I went on
something,
a little more on that, but it's great experience.
something else about my experience with Topstep is that I think this is my sixth segment that I've appeared on Topstep TV in like, I think the first time was about 3 or 4 months ago, right?
Coming to regular.
I'm becoming a regular. Nuts, right? But here's the thing. What people on these broadcasts, watching the broadcast, won't know if they've never been in this seat is that there's a green room, and you get to meet and have just a general chat with these coaches before you go live on air. You get to know each other a little bit better, and it's just a wonderful thing to take part in. And so, as I said, it was Eddie that said, answer the casting call, come be on Topstep TV, trade with us. And I was like, well, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Why not? And then I didn't expect to get picked, right? And then the next thing you know, I'm on there. But I can't get enough of it. And it's like, I don't want to be on every day or anything like that. But it's
Right.
like I am on regularly enough to get to know all of these different coaches, and pick up some real good tips from people. It's just that when I message somebody in the chat, if I'm messaging a coach in the chat, they kind of jump on that message and will answer me properly. I had a great conversation with Coach D during the live conversation in the chat, because I've been on Coach D's show twice, right? So she's got to know me quite well, and we're messaging each other, and do you know what I mean? It's just a different, it's like another level of experience of Topstep, is to get amongst it, take part in the Discord, answer as many questions as you can in there.
Yeah.
It's a big part of it. And I know this sounds like a commercial for Topstep, and it's not meant to be.
I was gonna
It's
say,
just
Paul,
not.
we're gonna have to bring somebody on who says
Yeah,
we
get
suck
somebody
at
to
trading
marketing
just to
this,
balance out
right?
all the love, right? We gotta bring someone on who hates us just to balance out all the positivity.
Yeah, I don't mean it to sound like that, guys. I really don't. I just want you all to know that it's been a pleasure, and many years to come, I don't doubt. But yeah, I've learned a lot from it. Just trying to give it back a little bit of what I've taken from Topstep, which has been phenomenal.
That's
So
awesome, man. Yeah, and I agree with you though, right? As much as you want to learn, right? We say it all the time here to all of our audience: ask questions in whatever segment that you're in. The more engaged that you are, the more you'll get out of it, right? And
yeah,
that's why we're here as coaches. We enjoy doing what we do. It is time consuming, right? We're not gonna neglect that fact, but we do it for a reason, right? Because there are times where I wish that I had that, where somebody I could just bounce questions off of, and I'm not going to know all the answers. Neither is Coach Paul, neither is Coach Hoop, none of our coaches, but we'll be able to kind of guide you in the right direction, right? It's ultimately up to you, like you did, Paul, taking the information and implementing it, right? Because I can't come over there and click the button for you, but we could try to guide you in a direction, right? And each coach is going to have something different, right? To give you, which is really important. All right.
I think the last thing I would say on that real quick, Jay, is that you don't have to be in VIP. I mean, congrats to anyone who's in VIP. I didn't make the VIP call. It's fine. Because you don't have to be in VIP. If you just look hard enough through the channels and take part in Discord, you'll get the information. It might take a little longer than one-on-one coaching would with a VIP, but honestly, you don't need it. You just need to spend the time here with these guys. That's it. That's all I was going to say.
Great stuff, Paul. Great stuff. Coach Paul, any other markets we want to look at? Anything on your scouting report? You got about 9 minutes left.
Oh, I just want to. Alex put out there 6,000 contracts just went through on ES.
Yep.
Wow.
61.32.5. Mark those prices on your charts. You can see them up here on time and sales. 3,000 pretty much contracts got filled right here. And then there was another one somewhere lower. Here's another 3,000 that went through right here. So 61.32.5. Again, we don't know what their intentions are, but that price meant something to someone because they didn't put the orders anywhere else. So just pay attention to how the market responds around that area, because that is a lot of size.
And shout out to Alex. Thank you for bringing that up.
Great eye. Great eye.
Yeah, brilliant spotting it. And I was going to say that, what I've noticed about this segment is that, I don't know, it's like the quality of the people that are in the chat that join this show is way better than the main broadcast. And that sounds silly, but it is. You just seem to get more intelligent questions. And I think it's because during the main broadcast, there's a lot of newbies. And I think for this segment, there's not so many newbies. So we kind of get to dig into things a little better. So I'm not dissing the people that are in the main broadcast. I take part in the main broadcast. I'm not saying, but you just get a better quality, of questions. People seem to understand it here.
Paul just said that the real VIP is right here at the buzzer. We thank you all for joining us. We appreciate that.
Wow, this is a love-in today.
Yeah,
but I didn't mean it to
we needed this.
I didn't mean it to sound like that, but you know what I mean. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm telling it straight, guys. I'm telling it straight.
So, with that, scouting report. Let's look at the Japanese. Let's look at the Japanese yen.
Here we are, Japanese yen on the 30-minute.
Oh, wow. Nice. And where did it go to, Coach?
What's that white line up there, Paul?
That's the 200 moving average, Coach.
So, tonight, I'm going to watch that. I'm going to see if we get a breakout out of either side of that. And I think that it's going to be a nice trade. Once again, it's a trade. It's a trade that, my favorite trades are things I can lean on.
Yep.
Or as Coach says, swim behind the shark. So
what's the tick cost on that, Coach Paul? Is it $1 a tick?
Well, a tick is $12.50. So 612.50. They have half ticks.
Okay.
So I don't. It's 12.5.
Yeah, 12.5. Right. Okay.
And the average range. That's one we haven't talked. We used to on Discord. It wasn't for a year.
Yeah, we were talking about that for a long time.
Sell the end. It was like, just sell it, Mortimer. But there's a good opportunity. As look what happened when we got below that 200 the night before. So and that was a big down move yesterday. We came in as exhausted. Well, I don't know, but I find it's a good place to find opportunity. By the way, I think 10 ticks is $125. I think the average true. What is the average true range in the Japanese yen? I think it's
On
like
daily?
15. No, on the half hour.
Half an hour. They have these weird quotes. So this is, yeah, I don't even know how to start
Don't
quoting
know.
that, coach.
All right.
Not even gonna lie to you.
So, let's just say the half hour is the risk in a half hour is $150. That's cheap.
Okay.
Well, I shouldn't say cheap. It's a good size contract. You can risk $150 basically, to bring it down to a 5-minute or a 3-minute. And if it runs, you can pick up $300-$400.
We lost our guest. I think he was giving us too much praise, and Goldman took him out, but he might be back. We got 4 minutes left. I think there was a good session. We're gonna continue to try to do these. Bringing. Where did you go, Paul? I don't know. He's coming back. There we go. We got him back. We're gonna continue to try to do these. Bringing our guests on. Kind of switching up the flow a little bit. You guys hear us, Coach Paul and I talk pretty much every day for the past 6 months about what we look at. If you realize the content probably hasn't changed too much, we've been, giving the same message over and over again. But that's a good thing, right? What we want, good trading should be repeatable. We should have a process. We have a process for how we run the show, but it's always good to switch the flow up sometimes. And Paul, I want to thank you for coming on as a guest, our first trader guest, right? Everybody else we've had on has been a coach guest, but our first trader guest, I think this has been a great show. So if you haven't done so already, like Paul's name says, hit that like button. I have nothing else. I'm going to throw it to Coach Paul and then to you, Paul, to end it off. Coach Paul, you got anything before we go?
Yeah, I can't wait for our next guest. How do we the process? We'll tell you tomorrow. But this was really enjoyable. And for the rest of the At the Buzzers, it's always great. Really enjoyed doing this show. And let's watch the Japanese yen tonight.
Let's watch the
And
yen.
off to you, Paul.
Well, I've got to add 6J now to my list of markets, which means I've got to get rid of one of them.
Gotta get you on the screen now.
I don't have enough. It's like, well, which one do I replace that with? Maybe corn. Maybe I'll get rid of corn in favor of 6J. But anyway, listen, guys, this has just been a real pleasure being on the show. Thank you very much, Coach Jay. Thank you for everything, not just tonight. I mean, everything you've taught us all. Thanks, Coach Jay. Thanks, Coach Paul. Thank you to everyone in chat who's taking part in this. I've seen some very regular names in there. It's good to see everybody here. And what can I say? Just trade well and manage your risk, guys. That's the job, right? And I'm learning that. It's been a fantastic ride being on the show today, and thank you very much for having me. And I'll see you all again soon. Cheers.
Awesome.
Cheers.
So we have classes coming up. Coach Hoop is doing a class in Discord 15 minutes from now. Then we have Coach Ray and Coach Vince in Discord 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Central Time. And of course, Dakota with Slow Markets tonight at 7:30. Like we've been talking about pretty much the entire time. A ton of content here for you on Topstep TV on YouTube. Looking to get to 150K subscribers, so tell your friends and family to sub as well. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. Trade well, manage your risk, and we will see you then. Bye.
Cheers.